Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama. Welcome to our channel and our Paws On Animation segment, Paws On Manga.
Yes, this is where we cover some of our favorite manga series and recommend them to you all, showing just how much we love them. And this time we're covering the hilarious manga, Monthly Girls Nozaki Kun.
Finally, this manga shows the failed result of Chiyo Sakura confessing her feelings for her classmate Nozaki, also known as Nozaki Kun, only to be given his autograph, and she then learns he's a really famous shojo mangaka, and from there, the hilarity ensues.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification buttons on future podcasts and roll the pause videos.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, we've also covered the anime as well, so be sure to check that as well and watch these together.
Well, we did indicate in the podcast for the anime that I discovered this sitting on a shelf.
Yes.
In the library. Never heard of it. Looked like it'd be funny, and we've never looked back.
Right? And it's funny that just was there, because usually the library has certain selection of books that usually are just not our cup of tea. But that one seemed to be mixed in with it, and yeah, Mom brought it back. Plus it was on Netflix, so we had a chance to check out either one if one version was better than the other.
Manga is outstanding. It's been going on now for
11 years. Now almost 12.
And the volumes are still currently being put out, and the recent release, or the most recent release, is volume 13. Believe it or not, after all those years, they're only on volume 13.
Right. And the anime adaptation sadly only has 12 episodes and an upcoming live action adaptation in China. But our fingers are crossed that one day we will get another season or several seasons of the anime if it comes up in popularity again.
Absolutely. Now this series is written by Asumi Tsubaki, and yes, she's female, and all the characters are written contrary to what they would be. So
yes.
The male characters are acting like the female characters, and the female characters act like the male characters.
Yes.
And it is absolutely brilliant how she does it.
Yes. And each time you read it, it's like, okay, eventually you're going to run out of things to parody. And no, it's been 12 years and she's still finding things to make spoofs of. So it's everything's so reversed down to a T where it's like, oh my gosh, you actually did that. And then we watch another anime where it's done the regular way, and then you can actually see what she's reversed when you watch the regular anime, because we say, okay, that's what she switched over, that's what switched over, that's switched places. And you wouldn't think there'd be that much to go with, but there is. All these years later, it's still hilarious and it's still brilliantly written.
The first thing that captures your attention when you see any volume is the beautiful colors of the covers. Generally, they have two characters. Sometimes they are characters that are shipped together, and sometimes they're siblings, but there's generally two characters on the cover.
Yeah.
And the colors are beautifully done, beautifully illustrated, and they stand out. And I think that's the first thing that got my attention when I first saw it on the shelf.
Yeah.
I had no idea who these people were, but the cover looked interesting, the colors were great, the art was fantastic. The title was very odd, Monthly Girls Nozaki Kun. First, I thought it was about that time of the month.
Right.
And I was like, someone really write this about that? And then I opened it, and it's like, oh, okay.
And it's like, it's one of those titles where you have to read it or watch it to find out where the title comes from.
So that's what stands out first. And then when you open it and you see the actual drawings inside, they look almost exactly like the cover art. Of course, they're black and white. And the characters each have a distinct look. Although the art style is the same, they each are distinct characters. You don't confuse one for the other until you get to their siblings. Then you start getting confused. Whereas for the main characters themselves, they stand out and each one looks different.
Yes. And you get quite a bit of bonus material regardless if you're in Japan or America. And the volumes come out a little slowly in America now because they're trying to put more into volumes. And she had explained in the manga is that there's a different way sometimes publishers choose to put out these books. They can either make them shorter and put more out, or make them longer, but it's gonna be a while before each volume. So for the West, it takes almost a year for each volume to come out, while it might take even longer in Japan, so people just read the manga online. But you also get little tidbits and information about the characters. One volume you get a bunch of bios, you get some beautiful colored illustrations of different characters. You get looks at some of the merchandise. There's a ton of merchandise for them. Some of it is fan servicey, other times it's just for fun. And they give you a lot of content. Oh, and they used to have, I don't know if they still do it, they have popularity polls like MHA for favorite character or your favorite ship.
And I think fun is the key word here. All throughout every volume, it's fun. It's hilarious fun. Every single chapter is fun. And I say chapters because each one is like a page.
Almost like that. Like sort of like that. It's sort of like a 4-panel format. And I think I think every few pages is a chapter. Like maybe 10 pages are a chapter.
And they're fun. They don't go on too long. The joke doesn't stretch out too far where you're like tired of it. You get it, and it's fun and direct, and the humor is just hilarious, and it can go from being just lightly hilarious to deeply hilarious. There are some innuendos sometimes, which makes it even more hilarious. And you've got several main characters. You have Nozaki Kun, as we mentioned, and Chiyo. You have
must be the main one.
Mikuri and Mikoshima. You have Hori.
Yeah.
You have Kashima, you have Seo, and Wakamatsu. And they are the 7 main characters in this series.
Yes. And
they're all high school students. We don't know the name of the high school, I don't think.
I think it's Royal Academy.
I'm sorry, duh. Yes.
It's at the R, so I'm going to say
high
Royal.
School students. Hori's the oldest, but it looks like he's never going to graduate because then all the readers would be upset.
Yes, I'm not kidding. That really happens. And in here, they kind of plays around with different types of ships. Like, there's certain types that people really like here. They have their favorites, like as an example, the bubbly one and then the brooding one. Their ship, some people really love that one. So for here, they kind of like reverse, like usually a guy will be the brooding one and the girl will be bubbly. Well, one version they switch it, so Nozaki's the oblivious one and Chiyo's the one going after him. For Seo and Waka, instead of the ditzy girl, it's a ditzy guy and a tough sports girl.
He's the king of the stupid.
Mikoshima, who I think, if we're reading it correctly, might be shit with Mayu. He's supposed to be the pretty boy and the girls want him, but he gets embarrassed, so he ends up acting girly a lot.
And he's the only one out of the 7 main characters that's an only child.
Right. And then you have Hori and Kashima, where it's 1-to-1 for everything. Like a princely male character wants the girl that isn't even looking at him. They reversed it, and she wants no one else but Hori, and she tries every single day of her life to get him. And Hori does like her, and she's just was slow to get it for a while, then he finally said, okay, I like her.
I think what makes this series so enjoyable, again, is fun. And what's really different about it from every other manga we've read and every other version of high school we've seen is there are no bullies.
That's
anywhere
true.
To be found within the series.
Yes, no bullies, no mean girls, no rich kids trying to say about the commoners. There's no transfer students that try to say they're the best. No competition with the rival school. None of that's in there. Everyone's pretty friendly. And no one really insults each other, at least, you know, on purpose. Sometimes it might come out as an accent. They really don't know they've hurt someone's feelings. Like, Sale does that a lot, and she thinks she's being truthful and helpful, and she insults somebody and they want to hurt her, and that ends up being part of the humor. So that's actually really refreshing that you don't have a love triangle, rivalry, none of that. It's really refreshing to see, and you're just really having fun.
So you're thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, then what makes these ships so enjoyable? Because the girls that like each of the guys they like are just, there's no one else in the world that they want. And they are laser focused, and no matter how stupid they are, no matter what mistakes they made, no matter what they do, these girls are stuck on them. And it's not like in some of the animes you see where
someone comes along,
the girl is desperate for the guy, or she's trying to get his attention, or she'll change her whole life for him to like her. It's not like that. It's just that they know who they want, they know who they like, and that's it. And everyone else better stay away.
Right. And
it's so
especially
fun watching the interactions between them, because when you read this, just like, nobody else wants Nozaki.
right.
And you're reading, you're like, Hori is too dumb to know Kashima is in love with him. He's too dumb to know that the woman who has his type of legs is Kashima, because only listen to her from the waist up.
Right, it's like, what?
And then it's like, no one on earth will want Wakamatsu but Sale because he's the king of the stupid. And it makes it so funny reading it, because no one else will want these people.
Right.
And before you ask, they're all attractive.
Right, and that's true. There is no one that they try to say is okay-ish or unattractive. They say it once or twice in there, but really there isn't. Everyone's appealing to a certain degree, and she doesn't make anyone look like you could make fun of them. And I think that's actually a wonderful thing.
Characters, even the extras, as Bakugo says.
Yeah. And one thing I thought was funny, like when you read later in the manga, you start seeing some of the siblings of the characters. Like you see Seo's brother, you see Chiyo's brother, and then one that pops up a lot, two pop up a lot, is Nozaki's brother Mayu and Kashima's sister Rei. And Rei's whole thing is, you see much later in the story, she goes to the all-girls school still.
Well,
and
Kashima used to go but transferred to Royal Academy.
Right.
Thank goodness.
And for her, she can't seem to separate reality from shojo. So everyone she sees together automatically looks like they're a ship, which sounds familiar.
There's no other way to put it. She has a dirty mind all the time, and she's the younger sister.
Right. And you're thinking, okay, what's going on when she sees Kashima with Hori? And then she thinks that she wants Mikoshiba, even though
they're just best friends.
Right. And it's obvious she likes Hori because she's always happy around him. And then when Chiyo tells her, she likes Hori, Rei's kind of silent. And then she's like looking like that can't be right. And she says things that aren't like really, really bad, but they're just kind of like still insults that say, well, I wouldn't say he's attractive. And it's like, what? Is that he's a bit on the short side. He's too straight-laced. What could she possibly like about him? And then that became like the biggest irony, because Hori's the most favorite guy out of all the girls.
And that's when we get to the brilliance of the writing of Izumi Tsubaki. She takes the character that she makes you think in the beginning is supposed to be the least liked and the least favorite. But this was her plan all along. And by the end of I think it's the 8th volume,
probably 8th or 9th,
Hori has become the favorite character in the series. He's the short one. He's the more reserved one. He's the oldest one. He's the artist one. He's intelligent. But he's the one least likely that people would have a crush on. And the whole freaking fandom crushes on this guy. Male, female, whatever. You all crush on Hori. And it was her plan. All along it was her plan to make him the favorite, because I believe that this is her man. This is who she likes. I believe that it was her plan all along to make him the favorite. She tricked us with Mikoshiba. She put the pretty boy in with the red hair.
And he's
the bad boy with the earrings. And all these other things that stand out and make you know he's the bad boy. And then it's like everyone going, oh, look at him. He's pretty. Oh, he's going to be the favorite. He's going to be the best one. And then all of a sudden, in comes Hori. And then you find out more about Mikoshiba's personality, and you love him.
Still
you have to love Mikoshiba. But Mikoshiba's not getting a girl.
Yeah.
And he's got his figures that he poses like. He's got his manga that's on the racy side. He's the only child.
That's how it explains a lot.
That is the prettiest one in the manga. But he has confidence issues, go figure. Right. But I believe it was her plan to present him up front first, and then have you fall in love with Hori, which is what happened.
And it's funny you say that, because you actually said a couple times, and you said there's got to be other reasons why Hori is popular, besides, like you said, cleverly writing that in and seeing Mikoshiba and that being like a sleeper hit character.
Right.
And there was actually this article they had, someone had up, and then I found later and finally read, and it was about why I guess girls would want to date shorter guys. And I want to say, okay, did Azumi read this, or is she already like this anyway? So I read some of the points they say about it, and about half of them lined up with Hori. And one of the biggest ones that you did not hesitate on was that they still have confidence about their height. They're not worrying about it, worried about taller guys or anything. And you immediately said yes. And one of the things that you like you said, there's no bullying or anything. No one picks on Hori for his height, and he's not worried about his height, talking about he's short or anything. When he couldn't get lead roles, he found other ways to be in the thing he loved, and still was passionate about theater. And you had stated, so that probably is why a lot of girls like him. He's not so focused on his height. There's no jokes about him. He's still cool, even though he's probably shorter or as tall as them. And I thought that was hilarious, because they said that's one of the things they like.
Yes. And we forgot to mention that our favorite ship in here is Hori and Kashima.
Which is most people.
What's the ship name?
I think it's called Hori Kashi.
And she's 5'9.5", and he's 5'4".
And which is usually a woman's height, which is brilliant.
Yes. And she thinks he's the most beautiful, perfect human being ever created.
Every day!
He can do nothing wrong. He can do no wrong. And even Azumi, she has these character bios. And she has what everyone else's faults or shortcomings.
Yeah, they're not good at it.
And things are for each one, and she gets to Hori, and she's like, they'll be revealed later, and they're never revealed because he has no imperfections. He has no shortcomings and failings. So again, this was her plan from the beginning. But if you want to read a manga series that is fun and enjoyable, and you can't wait to get to the next volume, and you love the drawings and the covers and all the things that just make it really special, then you've got to read Monthly Girls Nozaki Kun. It is unlike anything out there. It has inspired many other series.
Yes.
But there is nothing out there still after all these years that's like Monthly Girls Nozaki Kun.
Right. Oh, and one more thing we need to bring up along with the manga. Recently, they had announced a live-action adaptation in China retitled The Comic Bang, which, granted, the title really doesn't make sense, but that's what they went with. Their other one with romance, girls romance, a month ago romance was much closer, but they decided to change it and make it sound exciting. There are obvious changes to the story, like them being in college, being a little older. Nozaki's more on the smart side instead of the home economics
side,
right. And one of the things that they think was controversial about the manga, but there really wasn't, it was pretty clean, was the thing where they had in the beginning, Hori would kick Kashima when she would do something stupid, and eventually he stops. It takes a little bit, but he stops kicking her across the screen.
But it's hilarious.
But apparently that was controversial for some girls, and we didn't understand why that. They said that
it's
some
female, 1% of the fandom.
Right, and it says that some female readers were probably not comfortable with him doing that because it seemed like he was abusing her, and that's not how anyone really felt. We were laughing,
and it's kind of impossible when you read it yourself and see the pictures. What they do is not humanly possible.
It's like Looney Tunes.
It's not humanly possible. Exactly, that the things that happened to her when he did it would happen.
Right.
So that's why it was funny, is because this is so unrealistic. It's hilarious.
And then she loved it. On top of it, she thought that meant she was special.
Yes.
So when they did the adaptation, they said, okay, we're not gonna have him kick her anymore. Okay, now he puts her in a headlock. Look, he's gonna choke her out in a wrestling move, and it's like, you thought that was better? He seems a little more aggressive now.
But the worst part, and this is the last comment on this, the comic bang, the worst part is they had the audacity to make Hori taller than Kashima.
Yes, he's taller than her now, so the whole dynamic is ruined now. It's like, darn you.
But we're going to give it a chance and watch it and see what it has to offer. We always do.
Yes.
But when you take away the elements that make this manga series so special and a standout, and then you change them to be just like everything else, what makes it special, it makes it no longer special.
Exactly.
Because it's gone. So we can't imagine what it's going to be like, but again, we are going to watch it and give it an opportunity, give it a chance to see if they did something like they've done with Meteor Garden and other shows.
Yeah.
Like from Boys Over Flowers to Meteor Garden, and making it something interesting. Maybe they'll do it.
Maybe, yeah.
And if they do, then fantastic. And we'll definitely be covering that as well. But if you want to read the original content, go and get Monthly Girls Nozaki Kun. It should be at your local library if you're in the United States. Hopefully, if you're not, it's at your library as well. You can find the volumes on Amazon. They run between about $10 and $13 a piece.
But it's a little more reasonable compared to other mangas.
And right now, there's no collection you can buy with all of them
not yet
in it. You have to buy them each.
Right.
And if you do decide to borrow from a friend, give the books back.
But yeah, please remember to do that. They're all available and you will have a fun time reading it. You might want to read it like twice over.
Yes.
If you haven't already, subscribe for updates, weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
And we can't wait to bring you more of our favorite mangas. We've got some that you're really going to love and be excited to hear about. And we're going to have one that you may not know about. It's not well known, but we absolutely love it. So look forward to that.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And don't forget, Hori's hot, so don't change that.
That's correct.